I'm awake. Are you?
I wonder how many miles I've fallen. It seems I'll get to the center of the earth. Curious, isn't it? And really, nothing's quite impossible.
Let's go now to our new episode of the Unfiltered Rise with me, Heidi Love.
Hi, and welcome back to another episode of Deplorable Nation. I'm your host, Deplorable Janet, and today, my returning beautiful, amazing, fantastic, intelligent, lovely bestie, Miss Heidi, is with me again. Hello, darling.
If you had a friend like Janet, you would always just feel amazing. Thank you, Janet. That was wonderful. I love you in all those ways. I'm not nearly as good at that as you.
Well, that's what we're here for, right? Is to
Oh,
lift each other up and be wonderful people in the process. That's why we
well,
get along so well.
somebody's got to do that, right? Because
That's
we're
mm,
we're met
'cause
with so much oppression.
a little bit, but that's okay because you know what? We got our own corner of the world going on
That's
over
right.
here, and I'm
We'll be just
happy with that.
fine. We'll
Yeah,
be just fine, boys. And yes, I said boys.
true words, true
It's
words.
a boys club, and we're not in it.
But that's okay because the girls' club rules.
We try
So,
hard.
today is a uber interesting topic that could go down so many different pathways, whether it be light pathways or dark pathways. That is yet to be seen. So, today we're going to be talking about DNA, DMT, and the Star of Bethlehem and how that all ties together. And believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen, some of these things actually tie in with our previous episodes as well. So, it's going to be a thought-provoking episode, I hope.
He almost said a shit show.
Well, it might be. It might be one of those shows. Who knows? We will find out. However,
We're gonna go there. Yeah.
I'm just going to throw this out like from the get-go. The month of December or winter time especially coming from the healthcare industry, you see a ton of people with seasonal affective disorder and depression and stuff like that. And I don't know why it is, but Christmas seems to be the most depressing holiday for most people, right? So, winter
Yes.
months and the depression that sinks in and all of those things, because the days are shorter, our circadian rhythm changes because it gets darker earlier, it gets light earlier, all of those things. And so that can throw everybody off and out of balance. And sometimes I'm just going to say bring out the cuckoo chew in people, some people.
They joined the cuckoo club.
Mhm. So they could been on one of the Clan of the Cuckoos episodes. So, for people that don't know what we're talking about with circadian rhythm, that's like your internal clock that monitors like when you're supposed to wake up, when you're supposed to go to bed, when it's day, when it's night, like all of those things. And it's like your body's master clock that keeps you in balance and harmony. And so with the time change, how many times have you talked to people that go through the time change when they gotta jump forward or spring back with their clocks, and it makes people a little
It
nuts?
really does. I don't think they should do it anymore unless like you live in a farming community. Like, I don't know. They petitioned for that here where I live to not do it anymore, but then somehow we're still doing it.
Mhm.
I don't know what's going
Yeah, I
on.
know. I remember when it was in front of Congress that they were gonna do away with that, like, forever and permanently make it a thing, and then it's like, "Just kidding.
Yeah.
We're
It's
we're not really
strange.
gonna talk about that." So, it's interesting because your circadian rhythm has a lot to do with your pineal gland, right? And your pineal gland is what manufactures the melatonin and all of that stuff. And so that changes too. Your melatonin changes. And so, like, anytime somebody wants to like check their melatonin levels, it's kind of like other hormone levels that fluctuate with time periods throughout the day. And so your melatonin is going to rise between 8 and 10 p.m. because that's what your body's telling you that you need to go to sleep. Peaks around 2 to 4 a.m. Hello, me. That is usually when my body wakes me up and is like, you know what? Psst, your bladder is full. You should get up and get out of bed.
Yep. At least once. Yeah.
Never fails, right?
Uh,
And so by the morning time, that's when your melatonin falls like drastically because your body's supposed to wake up. And that's all part of that, normal clock. So if you're one of those people that ignores your circadian rhythm
I
and
mean,
does your own thing and stays up till 2 o'clock in the morning and then sleeps
well,
until, 1 o'clock in the afternoon, um, I could understand why you might be a wee teensy off.
kind of weird. Yeah. Can you see this picture okay of this pineal gland? I don't
What?
know. So I think it's very cool. This next picture.
It's
This
a
is for
walnut.
it is, but look at this. You
Oh,
see it?
there you go.
Isn't that interesting? This was my favorite picture I found for this episode. I was like, "Oh my gosh,
Well,
that's
but
actually amazing."
it actually makes a lot of sense in the grand scheme of things, and hopefully people are watching will catch on to this and where we're going with this. So keeping in mind that some people, like I said, don't pay attention to their normal body's rhythm and stuff, and that's not for, it's not necessarily people that work night shift because they can't help it, that's what you work. But jet lag or people that are like gamers or doom scrollers on social media, those are things you can help, but don't, right?
Yes.
So, the interesting thing in your body, now we're going to talk about DMT. So, not the trippy kind that you can go and do with a shaman in the woods, right?
You
Um,
mean not this kind right here? Hold
not
on.
the, not the uber trippy kind of DMT, right?
Oh
Your
boy.
body, believe it or not, actually manufactures DMT on its own. Now, in all my years of being a nurse, did I know this? No, I did not. I'm the first to admit it. And I was like, what? Your body makes DMT? And I was uber shocked and uber interested to learn about that because I was not aware of that. I've never read that in a book, a textbook, and training or in school, like none of that. It was not a thing. I didn't teach that because it
Mm.
wasn't in any.
I never even heard about DMT until basically the one that made it famous, right? Right here.
Yeah.
I didn't hear about this. I don't know that I want to feel this ever. Like,
Mhm.
it sounds insane unless it comes on naturally, like we're gonna talk about today.
Mhm.
Um, and maybe, since I have had some close calls, maybe I already have, but I I'm just saying that I mean, do you really wanna know what it's like right as you're checking out? Like, I
Well,
don't know.
no, and that's why the deeper we get into the episode, I'm gonna bring up some things that I have talked to somebody else about that was in the occult side of things, and I'm like, "What? No, like, absolutely not. Do I want to go there? No." And some people do this repeatedly over and over and over again. Now we're talking about the actual experience with the shaman or just doing stuff on your own. Oh, whatever. But
Right.
it's very different than what your body makes.
Yes.
I'm just saying. So, um, There's 2 enzymes in your body that actually help to manufacture your body's own DMT, which who knew? And it's AADC, which is aromatic L-amino acid decarboxylase. Didn't
And
have
also,
duh, blah, 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 didn't know what that was. And then another one called INMT, which is indole N methyltransferase. But your body actually has several organs that play a part in making the DMT, which I thought was pretty cool. Now, of course, big blinking sign your brain is the first one, which makes complete and total sense that your brain is the one in charge of this trippy drug that your body makes, right?
we just
Brain
had some turkey, so this is also involved.
exactly.
Oh,
Tryptophan is definitely because those 2 chemicals that I mentioned before, they mix with that and they cause, the methyl and whatever causes tryptamine. So, that sounds trippy on
this
its
was one
own,
of the
right?
funniest episodes ever of this show. I don't know if we can say this show,
Seinfeld?
but yeah, hopefully we can.
Oh, well, I
But
did. Ha
it's funny. This one and the KFC one is, probably 2 of my favorite. Oh, and the soup Nazi. Yeah, of course.
People that don't know what we're talking about, turkey has tryptophan in it, and tryptophan is what makes you, like, almost comatose after you eat.
Mhm.
So,
So
if you
true.
did not know that, now you do.
Yes.
So, your brain, since it manufactures everything, relating to DMT, it has to do with your neocortex, your hippocampus, and the pineal gland. And so there has been lots of rat studies that they have done to measure DMT levels in the brains, and they said that it's comparable to serotonin levels. And serotonin levels is what either balances you out or makes you like hyper excited. So interesting that has been around for a while, and I still never heard of it.
No, me either. This has all been a new I mean, since they figured out how to replicate, I
Mhm.
think.
It's very interesting to me. So the next organ that helps to produce DMT is the lungs. And so it says human lung tissue has some of the highest levels of that INMT chemical expression in your body. So your lungs are a major contributor to DMT um, production. And I guess that's because of the oxygen that we take in and how it's broken down in the lungs and processed in the lungs. So that would be my guess. So the pineal gland as well. And so the pineal gland has both of those chemicals. Um, that means that conditions coexist for the synthesis actually in the pineal gland itself. So that's kind of cool. And then it says also peripheral organs. So your adrenal glands, which makes perfect sense because they also produce cortisol, which changes people's mood and behavior and stuff. Your thyroid gland, which is a master regulator for your body. Your immune cells makes perfect sense. And even your retina and eye tissue make
Hmm.
DMT.
I did not know that.
Yeah, me neither. So, we're learning along with everyone else today. So, school is in session, ladies
This
and
is true.
gentlemen.
Don't make Janet get the ruler.
So, yeah, I could use that, for another series at another time.
It's true.
We're not gonna
Very
go there.
true. Meh.
So, researchers nowadays think that DMT is actually part of the body's immune and stress response system, which is pretty cool. That DMT is actually what's helping us to regulate whether we get, sick or or not. So it's kind of cool. So the picture she brought up says DMT, the spirit molecule, a
Yes, this
doctor's
is a book. Yeah.
revolutionary research into the biology of near death and mystical experiences.
Wild. And I think it's very cool. The reason why I picked this particular picture is because where we're going to go in a minute and all the eyeballs. I was like, oh,
Hmm.
right.
Well, which makes sense because we make
Yes,
DMT
ma'am.
through our
Mm,
retina and our eye tissue. And so the all-seeing eye, and then it transfers maybe to your pineal gland, which your consciousness, your awakening. So,
hmm.
interesting, interessante. So, when does the body release DMT? So, studies have been conducted um, that say that it spikes during what? During REM sleep. So, your most restful, restorative, reparative sleep that your body can get, your body is actually releasing DMT. That's why dreams for a lot of people are highly visual. Um, People remember their dreams because the more visual that they are, the more people remember them. I personally
I never
rarely
do.
ever remember
Ah.
dreams.
Do you know what I do when I take Benadryl? Of all things, but that makes sense if it's increasing. I don't think I have very much melatonin. When I
Mhm.
got my DNA whatever thing done, it gives you kind of your silly traits, whatever. You like chocolate more than vanilla, blah, blah, blah. It said I do not require as much sleep as other people.
Mhm.
And I know that's true, and that's why I've been able to do night shift for 27 years, or I would not be able to because how I survive and be a mom still is I force myself to wake up. I get up early and then, I'm able to like go still do the things.
Yeah, I could not do what you do because there's no way that I would function well now at my age on a night shift. Can't
It's
do it.
definitely rough. Definitely rough.
Can't do it. Boy, I'm telling you what, I must be getting old because it was very difficult for me to stay up till 9 p.m. last night.
Oh no.
So, outside of your highly vivid dreams during REM sleep, lots of DMT is also released in a lot of near death experiences. Hmm. So, people that have had near death experiences and they can explain to you vividly what they saw, what colors they saw, the whole 9 yards makes perfect sense. Or people that say that they saw the bright light, right? All part of the
Yep.
experience.
Depends. My mom, so she doesn't mind me sharing, but it wasn't a great experience. I chose this particular picture because instead of the bright at the end, she saw a lot of this purple.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but it also wasn't a naturally occurring situation. And so that's
Mm-hmm.
probably why. And also, she said she would never do that again because it
Mm-hmm.
scared the holy shit out of her, and she never did.
Mm-hmm.
So,
And you know
mm,
what's funny is a lot of people that have the similar story to what you just described all talk about seeing purple.
I hate the color purple, but I think I have had enough near death on accident. Like I had a hypertensive episode during surgery once. It was super
Mhm.
bad,
Right.
and even as a little kid, I had a horrible burn, requiring skin grafts and hospitalization, all this stuff. And so I think maybe there's something in there that maybe I remember. Maybe I just have an aversion,
Mhm.
at this point.
Which
So
and it may be because it may be your body's natural protection, like suppressing those memories of that so that you don't have to relive that over and over again because granted it's a terrifying experience anyway, and then especially shrouded in the color purple. And doesn't
exactly.
doesn't purple
Ugh.
have an occult meaning?
Yeah, I do believe it does. I would have to look at that to be sure because I know the colors are really important
Mhm,
to them. Steiner goes really into the colors, but I can't remember offhand. But
mhm.
I've always hated, I mean, since I was a young girl, maybe that color. Blue, no, I love blue, but
Yeah,
not
see, I'm
purple.
not a purple fan either.
Mm,
Maybe it's from a past experience of me as well. So,
yeah,
interesting. So, the next
very.
one is highly interesting of when a lot of DMT is released. Birth. Birth of children or trauma events. Now, trauma, I can definitely see that, but I can honestly tell you
I want to know how they know.
I don't recall releasing a lot of DMT when I had my child.
Yeah, with the children, I'm like, "Was this with the children?" I mean, I could see it, but, like, how would they know? I mean, maybe I would hope they're not doing very strange
There
testing on
somebody's in labor and the doctor or researcher standing over him going, "Do you see any bright colors?"
right? Or,
And she's
like,
like,
putting
"Get out of my face."
um, my scary thought was for the baby and that and doing EEGs as they're born, and I could see it because
Oh,
we
yeah.
have the ability to put, the head leads on
Mhm,
and it measures a lot of things, and I would not doubt that it
mhm.
measures other things if they wanted it to. So,
Yeah, that's crazy, and so, trauma I can definitely understand because, again, your body goes into the fight or flight stuff, and you're releasing, high levels of cortisol and dopamine trying to, dull your pain and, like, all kinds of things, so could I understand that? Yes. Again, I still don't get the childbirth thing. I don't
right,
I can honestly say, "No, it just hurt."
right,
And it wasn't a euphoric experience.
right. No, I had one at home and I did that whole thing and people were like, "Oh, didn't you feel great afterward?" And can say this, like, during the moment, no, but I did get that rush of endorphins after the fact, like, "What the hell is that? Thanks."
Right.
Um And I just wanted to clean the house, but I was like, "Okay, that's great. I'm tired. I guess I'm gonna clean the house now."
I did not wanna clean the house. No, I did not. So, the thing with the birth and the trauma that I find interesting is that they said that the DMT helps with consciousness transitions and emotional imprinting. So, maybe it is more on the infant than it is on the mom?
Like
Um
because we quit seeing all the I was a forceps delivery, so was my husband. It was pretty common
Mhm,
back then, and they kinda cut it out, they do use the vacuum if they absolutely have to, but as an L&D nurse for years and years, I only saw that maybe twice ever.
mhm,
They've really backed off of that
mhm.
because of, I imagine, what you're saying.
Gotta get the salad tongs out,
Right. Yeah, we don't wanna be making kids, any more in tune spiritually because, they're trying to wreck that for everybody, so.
mhm, and that may have a huge role to play in it because researchers are like, "Uh-oh, we better, like, cut this out because,
Oh,
eh,
yeah.
who knows?"
They don't
And
wanna make no
so
gifted kids.
yeah, no, and so now they just wanna use the vacuum extractor and suck all that, good stuff out of them.
Yes.
So the next thing is through meditation, fasting, and ecstatic states. So during these times, high gamma brain waves correlate with high psychedelic activity. And I will tell you, if you are super into fasting, and especially if you do like a 3-day fast, your body goes into autophagy, and that's where you're burning off all of the stuff, and so you experience like extreme mental clarity and all of that stuff during a longer fasting period. Now, a lot of people like me, I'll fast 24 hours, but usually when you do a 2-3 day fast, that's when you hit the autophagy stage where it's like everything goes, "Wah!" It's like all the world brightens up and, you have
Like you took an Adderall?
yeah, like you have creativity and you have plenty of energy and your mind is
Oh.
sharp and focused and whatever,
You ever
which
taken that, Janet?
no,
I
no, I
took it a
have
couple
not.
times because I clearly have ADHD. And I'll tell you,
Squirrel. What?
I was like, "Whoa, I can't be, being Heidi like this. This is way too bright outside. The colors
Mhm.
are brighter, the things." I was like, "This is not for me." So,
Yeah, so it's like any type of methamphetamine use or something, that is why people take it because of the vividness and the clarity of everything. Um, but yeah, fasting will put you in the same thing, and your body, because it has rid itself of all of the toxins and the excess sugar and carbs and whatever, that's when your body is like supercharged and hypercharged and it's like ready to go.
right.
So, for all you
I thought this
fasting
picture
fanatics,
with the tunnel, this one cracked me up. I was like, "They're just chucking people down the tunnel."
well, sometimes
Ah.
they're like, go to the light, you need help.
Mhm. Oh boy. Scary. Better hope you don't stay down at the bottom there. Woo.
So that chucking people to the light kind of goes with the last time that your body releases DMT, and that's right before dying or your
Mm,
organs shut down completely. So,
yikes.
yeah. So it says they think that DMT helps the brain remain conscious during extreme oxygen loss. And so, like your organs are shutting down and DMT takes over, and you're like, oh, I lost my kidneys. This is not so bad, right?
It's fine. It'll
It's
be
trippy,
fine.
right? Everything's good, man.
This has gotta be the feeling you feel when you're in the tub filled with ice cubes and they're harvesting. No, just kidding.
Yeah. That's a whole nother show, too, darn it.
Sorry. Oh
So
my.
the interesting thing is, why does the body make DMT? And so they don't really know, they don't understand, but what they have figured out, or they think they have figured out, is that it plays a very important role in visual processing, hence the retina and the eye tissue making DMT. And because we take in all forms of light, whether it's sunlight, blue light, fluorescent light, or whatever, all goes in through our eyeballs. And then it transfers into the nervous system and all of that stuff. And that's basically what runs our body, right? Is light. So DMT may help the brain create the internal imagery. And so if you didn't make DMT in your body, would you still be able to actually see out of your eyeballs like what you're actually seeing? Kind of trippy. Kind of
Very.
trippy. So also it's in near death survival episodes, and so they think that DMT actually works to protect your neurons during times of extreme stress or, again, oxygen deprivation. So it's a neuroprotectant, which is kind of trippy to think about, that it's a neuroprotectant, but people that go on DMT trips of the outside your body type, um, those are times of extreme stress because people will tell you like they're being chased by things, or something is clawing at them, or whatever. I've heard all kinds of crazy stories from people that have been on a DMT trip.
Mm. I've heard good and I've heard bad. I've heard a lot of talking to angels or demons.
Hmm.
A lot.
Yeah, I don't. I will pass on the talking to the demons part.
I don't
That's
wanna take away that they're going into a realm where they do not belong. Let's
yeah,
be honest.
100%. Which leads us to the next thing, is that it works for spiritual or mystical perception. And so that's where people get, of course, the out of body experiences, the entity encounters, spiritual revelations. Like people are like, oh, I found myself. I know my purpose and my plan and whatever. Or they have deep emotional memory access. And so they can access things that their subconscious has suppressed for long periods of time. But I would just want to say this. Um, so is this like related to the angelic visitation psychosis that we talked about on the last show? Or are people really having a spiritual awakening? So is it higher enlightenment versus demonic activity, attachments, etc., etc.? Or think about people with sleep paralysis. A lot of people who come back from DMT trips will talk about having sleep paralysis.
Yeah, no thanks. I don't want to remember the things that shouldn't be there. That
No,
sounds like a bad idea for me.
100%. Kind of like those. Oh, I can't remember what they're called. There's some kind of glasses that have like the purple. Do you remember what I'm talking about?
Mhm. Mhm.
Some kind of
Yeah.
purple lens or something, and it's supposed to help you see like demons and stuff around you,
No,
and I'm
thank
like,
you.
"Oh, hell no. No, no."
Mm-mm.
Like, can
No.
you imagine how fearful you would be every single day after encountering that?
I mean,
So
I
why
just
would you wanna go on a trip to trip yourself out?
well, and we know it's true. Like, look, the Bible tells you it's true. If you believe
Mhm,
in the Bible, if you believe in the Torah, if you believe in like all these
mhm.
people say the same stuff, even
Right.
Joseph Smith.
Mhm,
So I'm just saying, maybe you don't want to end up like John Dee and Joseph Smith and all the people because none of them met a very great end. I
mhm.
mean, chucked out of windows, raising their friend's kid. Like, I don't know. Doesn't sound great to me, but whatever.
Yeah, I think that will be a hard pass for me. Like, you do your thing, I'll do my thing, we'll
Yep,
just leave it
I'm
at that.
good. Yeah.
So with the immune regulation, with the DMT, it interacts with different things and it stabilizes your cells and works to reduce inflammation. And so not only is it neuroprotectant, anti-inflammatory, and it's a chemical bridge between consciousness and biology, which is actually kind of cool because it's one of those feel good chemicals like with the dopamine and all of that stuff and the serotonin and all of those things working together. But who knew that all this time your body was working with DMT production as well? I'm like
Right.
shocked. I'm floored. I honestly
I
am.
yeah, I didn't know. I didn't know that as well.
So, what is the connection with the pineal gland? So, your pineal gland has the quote unquote machinery to manufacture the DMT because it produces the melatonin and it's deeply connected with your circadian rhythm, your dream states, and spiritual experiences. And so they consider the pineal gland to be the quote seat of the soul, which what do secret societies and ancient text and things like that talk about?
Yeah, trying to take it out and put it in somebody else, that's for
Mhm.
sure. Or you
And
don't you wanna live forever, you know?
and
No, I don't.
so because this is considered the quote seat of the soul, it's in the Kabbalah, it's in Verdict text, it's in what is it, Descartes?
Mhm.
It's in all of these different texts where they talk about the pineal gland and how important it is and your pineal gland, when it's open and it's not calcified, that's when everything is like vivid and you're creative and, you know, all of the things. You have critical thought process, which is so important, and what happens when that's calcified? All of that goes away. And it would be easier. Suppose that scientists and researchers knew that if they could do things to cause calcification of the pineal gland, how dumbed down society would be and how much easier we would be to control if we couldn't form thoughts and critical processes on our own.
Right.
So,
That's what one of our other shows was, he was trying to make him a little slave like that, Mr. Dahmer.
mhm,
Spooky. Yeah.
mhm. So, they're working on that. That's been in the works for a long time, and all the way back, like the picture that you're showing again, like Egyptian times and whatever. So this is not a new thing that
Mm-mm.
they're focusing on that third eye, right? That's your third eye.
Absolutely. Yep. Absolutely.
So,
Scary.
emotional and neurological cocktail. Holidays, of course, for a lot of people bring grief, nostalgia, thinking about the past, traditions they don't do anymore because of family members being lost or whatever. People get uber depressed. They get very heightened in their emotional state, hence why I hate Christmas shopping season because no one has manners, everyone is crazy, and they will literally chop your toes off with a cart to get to a bag of M&Ms. You know what I'm
I
saying?
mean, it is true. It is true. And I think the holidays, so for us working in mental health, we always know we get a surge right before and a surge right after. And it's just
100%.
the way it is. Yeah, if we get low on hours, we always are like, "Don't worry about it. It's almost the holidays." Um,
Don't worry,
and
all the
yeah,
kooks are coming.
it'll happen. And so
We
but you're
joke.
right.
We
You're
kid
ab
about that, but
we
it's true.
absolutely. And it's just, people get to the point, money. Uh, like you said, not only the traditions, but this pressure. Like I know as a single mom when I was one,
Right.
that pressure of being able to provide and
Right, 100%.
all of
And
that. It's
you
scary.
have to give everybody what they want. And so desperation makes people do crazy things because any other time of the year, if you had Susie, the sassy shopping cart person, right? You ran into her any other time of the year, she would definitely not try to take your toes off with the cart. But during the holiday season, that's when people go
A little berserk.
a
Little
little
berserk.
crazy.
It
And so what
starts at that Black Friday, man.
Mhm. And so what causes that? What causes people to snap and to behave in ways that they don't normally behave in and do things that they wouldn't normally do? I'm just saying it's a thing.
It's truth.
So during that time of year, not only do people go crazy, but it is the time of year where everyone will tell you, not everyone, but you know what I'm saying, a broad percent of the population will talk about seeing angels or hearing loved ones that have passed away, hearing their voices or smelling certain things that remind them of a person in the past, like certain scents and things like that, or nursing staff talk about seeing and having sightings of shadowy or light figures or whatever. And so does that kind of stuff happen and does it heighten this time of year? Yes. Very weird, right? So why does that happen? Well, how about, is your DNA a spiritual antenna? And I'm going to say yes, because your DNA is your God given strand to make up who you are. That is your connection to God. Your mRNA is the messaging between you and God. Hence, why do we want to give mRNA vaccinations and treatments and stuff that alter that DNA? Because they're severing that connection with Creator. So, the science side of things says that DNA emits and receives tiny little light signals. And some other scientists that are on the other side of the coin say they act like a radio antenna. And I'm going to tell you, this is absolutely 100% true. And here's why. If you are a shit person, right, and you have crummy behavior and whatever, what kind of people do you attract?
Right.
The
The
same.
same.
If you are kind-hearted and loving and empathetic for people and whatever, what do you attract in your circle? Those
Hopefully.
same kind of people. And so, do I side on the fringe science part where your DNA is a radio antenna? Absolutely, because what you put out comes back to you. And if you put out misery and chaos into the universe, your life is full of misery and chaos. A lot.
Right.
So, yes, I believe that. And it says that human bodies respond not only to other people's energy levels and stuff, which we all know because we talk about that a lot, but it also responds to cosmic radiation, solar cycles, and full moons. So think about two, the Schumann resonance frequency that, makes people act a little cuckoo and they're like, oh my God, I feel like everything is off or everything is heightened or whatever during those times. It was literally splashed all over social media when that frequency changed. And think about too with the full moons. Full moons have always
These
brought out kookadoos.
these Arctic northern lights. My ass. Look, people.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care what you saw. I'm sure you did. I did too. But guess what? It's never happened before. Like, do the math and know
Mm-hmm.
that they're doing something to you.
Oh, 100%. And we know from research and what we've talked about before, do they have the type of energy weapons that can do that? And do they know about affecting our frequencies and stuff? I look at, we did a long time ago, like the Havana syndrome,
Mhm. Mhm.
and we talked about that and how they can use not only frequencies, but sounds and smells and all kinds of things
I
to
remember, like, right around 2020, there was this sound every night, and I wasn't the only one. Other
Mhm,
people heard this weird high-pitched sound,
mhm.
and they do stuff all the time.
Oh,
They really do.
100%.
Yeah.
And that's part of the testing that they do on human beings with or without your knowledge and
Mhm.
consent, right?
Oh,
But that
yeah.
but that's a thing, and so, anything that they can do to upset or interfere with that, connection in your DNA antenna, of course, they're gonna do it. So, spiritual side of things, um, angels are considered frequency-based beings, and so Christmas angels often are described as glowing or shimmering, so people that describe seeing them this time of year, that's what they describe them as. Um, or sometimes they're even depicted in movies, right, as shimmery type things. And so the idea that intuition or revelation is a signal received by your own DNA coil. So I tend to believe that too, because
This picture shows that so good. It's like the coil in the back, and then I
Mhm.
really like this one.
Well, and it makes sense because how many times do you have an intuition like, oh, I should not do that, or
Mhm.
maybe I should get a hold of somebody or whatever. That is literally your God consciousness telling you to stay away from something, telling you to run towards something, telling you to contact someone. That's exactly what that is. So because the DNA stranding that, he created, the creator created us to be those receivers for him and to get those messages, but how often do we not listen?
Well, we're all
Kinda
guilty.
I was gonna say, I kinda remember maybe a time or 2 in my life where I was a little pigheaded and stubborn, and I'm like, "Nope, not doing that," and it's like, "Yes, you
Mhm.
are. I'm gonna hit you
Mhm.
over the head with a frying pan if you don't listen." Mhm. So, here's the question. Are some people more genetically predisposed, or sensitive to the spiritual realm? What do you think?
I do think this is a thing only because, well, I know I had childhood trauma and people could put it off on that, but even in my lineage, like, I come from a long line of people, like, clear back to the Huntingtons, and it's strange, like, Zena Huntington is one of my very old Mormon ancestors, and she was known as a priestess, and
Mhm,
it was before they took, that away from the women, and she
mhm,
gave more blessings that helped people than the men and
mhm.
anyone else, and then they took it from the women,
Of
so
course. Why? Because women are
it
nature
worked.
nurturers, right?
'Cause it worked, and they were like, "Damn it!
Right.
Damn you women!"
We don't want you helping people for crying
Right,
out loud. And who are the
exactly.
people that create destructive things in the world? It's
Exactly.
always a male.
Well,
Women
and
don't do that.
I will give them a couple instances of, like, okay, but what happened to those people beforehand, right? Like, the one lady of Bathory, and she was kinda crazy, killing people, bleeding them all over and weirdo stuff, or, like, I mean, I'm not saying women can't be nefarious,
Right.
but overall, I mean, we can use the podcast world, for example. How
Mhm.
often do we help up while other
Right.
people push down?
Right. And it's true. And it's because we are God's natural nurturers. And so we are born to help people and lift people up and whatever. And so if you think about it in the terms of good and evil, and oh my gosh, people are probably going to lose their ever loving minds over this, but women tend to side on the side of good, whereas men tend to side on the side of evil because it's their nature to not nurture. It's their nature to repress and suppress and all of those things, and that's why, like, if you look out through history, like, all of the psychological studies that have been done that basically tormented, like, the participants, they've all been run by a man. Look at Bill Gates and what he's done. Look at the vaccine manufacturers. They're typically always a male. Can there be exceptions to that? Yes. I'm not saying that men are bad, so don't get your panties all up in a twist. Because I love men and we need men. But that's why there's two sides of the coin because we're supposed to balance each other.
Yes, it's important. It's really important, and why we're designed a specific way to have that other half to balance us too, because we're too emotional. I can't
Right.
count how many times I've helped somebody up where my husband's like, "Why'd you do that?
Same.
Why you saw it coming, like, you did this before, you know better," right? Like,
Yeah. But it's in
yes.
your nature to, like, help and help repeatedly, and that's why, like, certain people are susceptible also to getting used and getting hurt in that aspect because people take advantage of that. But
'Cause
I'm okay
you
with
will.
that. I'm okay with that because I'm not going to change for
No,
anybody
like I
else.
told my husband the other day, I said, he's like, "Why do you send pictures to this one person that," and I said, it's not about them and what they think, like, or whatever they do with it. They asked me,
Mhm.
so I do that, and I want to bless them, so I
Mhm.
do that,
Right.
and, it is information, it is stuff I've worked hard to get, and
Mhm.
books and things, and he's like, they're just gonna use that."
Mhm.
And I'm like, "Okay, and, if I've already presented it, is it really my job to hoard everything?" Like, it's just not good. Like, that's
Right.
not going to help people grow, so,
Right.
yeah.
But we have to make a lot of decisions in our lives, right?
Mhm.
And pick our battles and do all of the things, but that comes down to, again, that pineal gland and us having the ability to reason out and critically think and plan out, like, if we do this, what could happen? What's going to
Mhm.
happen? So that's two sides of the coin too, because can women be batshit cuckoo?
They are.
Yeah, but that's why again, women need men and men need women for that balance and that harmony because that's the way it was created to be.
Absolutely.
So, do you think that prophetic gifting is a biological trait?
Not always. I think it can be. And I think, it can also be acquired if God decides to do anything with you, he can, you
Mhm.
know.
I think so too.
Yeah.
So, how about do certain DNA lineages carry
Mm.
spiritual sensitivity?
I think that might be true. I think that one might be definitely true.
Because how many people do you know that, like, most of their family are, like, very, like, in tune, I
Sensitive.
guess you could say,
Mhm.
and awake and
Yep.
know things that normal people wouldn't know. And they're not studying stuff, it just comes.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a definite. I think that there's just, and I think Native Americans prove that a lot of
Mhm.
times. Like, nobody had
100%.
to come tell them about God, like, we just
Mhm.
kinda do, and they were like, "Yeah, we just figured this thing out, we don't need you," and then that caused the problem because they needed money, right?
So
Just
do
kidding.
you think that, like, with the lineages like that, do you think that's why there are some that have long lines of, like, prophets or healers or whatever that
Yeah,
involves?
I think so. For me, I definitely think that's I visualize that in my own family, or, like, you'll have a heightened sense,
Mhm,
like, we all have a heightened sense of smell, which is not
mhm.
the best thing for a nurse, but,
100%, I
um,
agree.
yeah, there's days where I'm like, "Oh my gosh," but
You're
I
like,
mean,
"I wish I could even smell, like, crazy stuff when I'm, like, uber congested," and I'm like, "Oh my god,
mhm,
it smells like whatever."
and
Mm,
I mean, it's benefited me a lot, it's
right.
helped me too, but, you just I do think that's something that, you're either born with a lot of times and then you can develop it,
Mhm.
or you may be able to. I think you have to have a little spark in there, I on
Well,
that particular thing.
and here's the question that I have, or not the question, but think about this. Um, how many times do we hear stories about, like, as we're younger, children that had imaginary friends,
Mhm,
right?
mhm.
And then, of course, as we age, like, all that goes away, belief goes away, faith goes away, or whatever. So, what if that spiritual side of things, and that God connection was coming through our DNA as an imaginary friend. And so our body, our subconscious is making it so that we can understand what we're
Mhm.
seeing through an imaginary friend. Like, think about it in the same aspect of like Bigfoot or whatever. So if Bigfoot was actually a different kind of creature that was like uber frightening and uber scary and terrifying, demonic looking, whatever word you want to describe it, um, people would not be able to visually or physically handle what it really looks like. That's why it presents as a werewolf. And
Right.
so,
Well, yeah, the angels, the first thing they say to every person ever
mhm,
is do not be afraid.
right. And that's why I'm wondering if maybe the imaginary friend thing is because we still have that close connection to God when we have our innocence and all of that stuff.
Mhm.
And that's how our body manifested in a way that we can understand, because being that small and that little and our brains aren't developed yet, we're not going to understand like a light being. You know what I mean?
Right. Right.
So
Yeah,
maybe
so
it,
you just shelf it as, like, fake or whatever.
yeah.
Yeah, like, imaginary.
And that's why, like, when we get older and the pineal gland closes and we shut off that, connection or whatever, and we lose that creativity and we lose that openness to be able to actually visually process
Mhm. Yeah, I could see
angels
that.
and things like that. So
Yeah, I could see that for sure.
hopefully that made sense.
No, I get where you're going with that.
So, is DMT the molecule of Christmas miracles?
Mm.
Hmm. So, because it's created naturally, like we talked about before, and happens during trauma and all of those different things, and the heightened stress levels in December with all the Christmas shopping and thinking about family that aren't there anymore and all of those things. Um, so does that, coupled with our circadian rhythm and our hormone balance and all of those things, what cause people to see like the Star of Bethlehem during Christmas and they visualize it, or that's when they have more angelic visitations or angelic messages or whatever? Is
Yeah.
DMT the cause of that? And why
I
is
don't think so, but I think that people could think that.
it's very possible. So biblically speaking, a biblical angel is a light being, and has an overwhelming presence and comes usually with a message or a warning or things like that, or telepathic communication. So, um, kind of like we talked about, touched on a little in the last show. I like to say I get downloads. It's not an actual download of information, but it, like, the filing cabinet got filled up when I wasn't paying attention, if you know what I'm getting at. And it's like stuff that I have never looked into, I don't know anything about, and all of a sudden the information is there. Has that ever happened to you?
More, I think mine is I get led to things like,
Right.
"You need to look at this book," or,
Right.
"You need to
100%.
read this thingy over here," and especially with the books, but it's all about how you tune in. Like, I think if you tune it, I think you could get, like I mean, there are some things that are automatic where I'm like, "Yeah, I know that." Like, yeah.
Why do I know that? I have no
Yeah,
clue,
that
but
makes
it's
sense.
there.
Yeah. Yeah, and I just get it that fast where my mom's like, "Hold on.
Mhm.
What the hell are you talking about?" You know, she does that to
Who
me
are
all the
you and
time.
where is my
Yeah.
daughter?
And it's funny, language is one of those things where Spanish for me, I did study it, but just in a book, that I got at the store. Like, I
Mhm.
didn't take it, I just had a boyfriend, and I didn't understand him and he didn't understand me and I was really young and I thought I'm going to figure this out. So, and he wasn't my boy. I liked him.
Right.
I wanted to talk to him. And so, I just learned, and I started, oh, I'll just do this or I'll just watch movies or and I know enough now that, I can stumble my way through quite a bit. And it passed on to my son,
Mm-hmm.
who he did study it because he heard me do that. He's so fluent. He's like perfectly fluent, which is really funny because he failed the English part of the exam and they questioned him when he went to go get his bilingual interpreter thing here. He's very young and he already has that. And they said, well, he was not born here then. He is not a natural citizen. And I said, he is the whitest child you have ever seen. Not that people can't speak
He
Spanish.
definitely is.
I was like, sir, just send. So I had to have this meeting with his counselor. I said, just send them a picture. And
Mhm.
they were laughing. And he goes, Mom, it's because, and I know there are people that speak Spanish in other countries. I'm teasing a little here,
Right.
but that are blonde and blue eyed and all the things. But I think it's funny just in general. And the guy said, well, why did you fail the English part? He said, because the computer does it for you. I actually had to learn how to conjugate these verbs. I thought,
Mhm.
well, yeah, he's not wrong. Spell
Well,
check does do it for you.
and it's funny because I dated somebody before that was Hispanic and they were trying to learn better English and they're like the English language is the most difficult,
Mhm.
complicated thing to learn. Like it makes zero sense to people. And why do we have multiple ways to spell the same word?
Yes. Yeah, and there well, and even so I took French forever, but I couldn't ever do it. Because there was a cute boy that's see, it's always the boys. Cute boy that sat next to me, and I just never paid attention. But when I went to France, I was like, "Oh," like you said, "Who is this person?"
Mhm.
My daughter said, "Did you just speak French to that person?" And I said, "I think I did." And we were lost, and I was like, they are so rude if you try and just talk English to them at first.
Mhm.
So, they know English. Look, none of them don't, like, understand you. They know, they just don't wanna talk to you if you're
Right.
not gonna dress right and be nice, but, um, so I tried, and then he was, like, talking to me for a minute, and then he spoke in English, and I was like, "Oh, you do speak oh, that's great." But he was like, "Yeah, your French wasn't bad," and she's like, "You speak French?" What? I was like,
And you're like,
I
"Yeah, I have no
don't."
idea where it came from. Don't know."
Yeah, I was like, I did take it for a long time. I guess some of it got like you said, the download. I guess some of
Mm,
it went in there,
mm.
or if you've ever fallen asleep with a podcast, this happens to me a lot in my ear, and I'll wake up and I'm like, yeah, that totally made sense. My husband's like, did you just learn in your sleep? You are freaking weird. Like,
Yeah, and some people have that higher frequency where, and I like to think of it like a sponge. You are a highly absorbent sponge. Other people,
sometimes
not so much. They're dried out Dead Sea
their sponge
sponge, you
is
know what I'm
dry.
saying?
Their
Well,
sponge just
that
needs
sounded inappropriate.
well, well, that would fit us.
You
Yeah,
need
for
to get
sure.
you need to get that sponge moist.
She's the noise. Ah, my mom's
Bleh.
always like, "How do you keep all this stuff in your head?" Because sometimes she'll hear me when somebody says something that you're not talking about, another thing. And then I'll just blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, she's like, why did you know that? I'm like, I just listened to it once on the
Right,
podcast. I'm always
100%.
listening, but to learn it, really learn it good, not just a little bit. I have to stop and write it down if I
Mhm,
really want to know something well, but
mhm.
it still gets in there sometimes.
100%, and I'm the exact same way, but I think that's why, like we talked about a minute ago, like, some people are uber sensitive, to the universe or whatever you wanna call it, and picking up things and listening to those signals, and it may not be like you're hearing voices, I don't mean that, but it's like you
No.
said, like being led to do whatever, like, I got led in the holistic
Check
health
this out.
realm,
Yeah, check
and
that out.
knew how to do things that I've never done before, and it's like it's just there.
It's in there. Yeah.
My
Yep.
filing cabinet is getting full.
Yep. I think there is definitely that, and I think that it also kind of hurts us because we can read the room, and I've
Oh,
been
yeah.
told before, like, "You're reading it wrong," and I'm like, "No, I'm not."
Right, empathic. Mhm.
Mhm. Yep. It's always
It's
something.
because you can sense, uh and that's why I said, like, empathic in the sense of being in tune to
Mm.
things around you, kinda like I said with childhood, you know, and having that innocence, and so when you're empathic, you have that same kind of ability or gift that we're born with, where it's like you can feel or sense emotions or whatever. You don't even have to look at anybody in the room, you can just feel
They
it.
didn't do anything. Yeah. It doesn't
100%.
even like, sometimes it's kind of bad because you can call I'm very direct, so I'll say something to somebody and they'll say,
Mhm.
"That's not true." Like, I don't feel that, but, like, maybe they did, but it wasn't enough to really have them even notice, like, maybe they're not
Or
even
maybe they really do feel that,
right. Yeah.
but they're not being upfront and
Honest.
honest.
Mhm, and I just think that's really unfortunate, because we live in such a world that literally no one is their authentic self, and I think
Mhm,
it scares the shit out of people when
mhm.
people like us just do what this is just me, like, this is my life, like, if you looked me up, you would find out the same shit I already tell you,
Mhm,
like, this is how it is, and so, some of us don't do masks, and we don't do that well, and I'm definitely one of those people,
mhm.
I don't like that. I don't like masks, I don't like faking things,
Right, same,
why? I don't have time for that, you know?
right, same thing. I'm not gonna bury my true identity to,
Yeah.
um, make
Make you
somebody else
happy.
have the happy feels. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm. Or make you more comfortable or whatever, and I think that is why, I've been number 1, God, but number 2, that is that people liked to listen because they're like, "Oh, this is who she really is, and what do you wanna do
100%.
when" Yeah, you listen to a podcast, you wanna know about them,
Yep,
you know? At least for me.
100%, and people if when you don't wear that mask, people feel closer to you, they feel more connected because they feel like they know your authentic, genuine soul.
Yeah, and even if it's not great, like, you're still gonna know me. Like, that
Mhm,
I'm not saying I'm all like, there's lots of parts of me that many people don't like that I don't even like. But at least you'll know who I am, and I always go back to that Nirvana quote, I mean, it's good to just hate somebody for who they are, even if that it's that quote. Like, it's like,
mhm.
okay, I'd rather be hated for who I am than who I'm not, you
Right,
know?
100%.
It's just I don't have that, and people are mistake it for, "Oh, she can't keep a secret," or, "Oh, she doesn't work well with others." No, I'm just gonna be brutally honest, and if you're also the same, we probably can have a really great
I
relationship.
was gonna say, hence why we're best friends.
Exactly, and I'm like, is it really that difficult? Do you all really hide? Like, that just seems exhausting to me. I can't
Mhm,
That was part of Mormonism for
right,
me. They were all fake and not sorry for people, I just generalized, but many of the people I knew seemed
right,
very fake.
right,
Um,
100%, and here's like, an example of that. What was her name? Ruby
oh,
was it
yeah, Ruby Frankie, she
right,
was
where
batshit crazy.
she put on that front or that air that they had the perfect family and
Yeah,
she was the perfect mom and, like, they loved each other and the kids loved each other and, like, whatever, and then behind the scenes,
her
like
child was a Nazi camp survivor, like, it
yeah,
was the
like,
saddest.
she was batshit nuts, and she was angry, and she yelled at people all the time, and she abused her children and whatever, so that just goes to show you that, like, when you can let that wall down and be your authentic self, that's when you have more light that comes
Right,
in.
and people will love it, or they will hate it. There's never an in between.
And
It's like
if they
one or the other.
if they cannot take your presence or the light that you emit, that is a you or them problem. That's not a you problem. You know what I'm
But it's
saying?
hard. That's a hard thing because I think what you said, like, I've had it since I was a kid, since I
Mhm.
was literally born, and it's intense for people, and I
Right.
get it. Like, it's caused problems for me my whole life, and I watch it with my daughter, and it makes me so sad because she got it a little more than the others,
Mhm.
and my son has it, but he doesn't give a fuck. Like, he does not care.
Him
Like,
and I
and
need
I
to chat.
oh my god, you would love him. He's just like, "I'm gonna do this if I wanna," like, he does not. I'm like, "Oh
Yeah.
boy." Sometimes I even am like,
It's
like, it
about getting to that point when the judgment of others does not bother you, and
and at
I am
7 well,
totally at
8
that point.
now, I am so proud that I raised him. Like, I need to teach him how to cultivate a better acceptance of people because not everybody will meet you where you are.
Right.
So we gotta get there. But, like, he does not do that for honey traps don't work with him. Nothing
Mhm.
works with him because he will stay in his lane and he's like, "Bitch, please." Like, sometimes I'm like, "Oh, you cannot do that." And if I say no, it's probably bad. Like,
Mhm.
because I'm pretty liberal on certain things, but, like, with my daughter, it's hard because she doesn't know how to rein anything back, and
Mhm.
she's a lot like I was, and every single time when I was a kid, like, I would have problems with people that, they just didn't like me. There was, like, nothing that ever happened, like, we didn't have a fight or words or, like, it would just be like they didn't like
It's
you.
because they cannot be around that type of energy
And I used to but then
because
you
you
think it's you,
radiate
and,
you
you
radiate
know.
higher level, and that's why people can't do that.
It's hard though, that's a hard thing to accept, but when I got older and I started noticing more, like, babies always come to me, dogs
Mhm.
always come to me,
100%,
animals
and
always come
why?
to
Because you
yeah,
have that authentic innocence about you.
yeah.
So, don't let
But it's
anybody
hard.
do on that.
Yeah, sometimes that's rough, right? I mean, it's harder, honestly, for her for me to watch that with her. We're talking about a kid that's, like, got in trouble during the vid because she wanted to hug everybody too much,
Mhm.
and she just loves people, and, for them to just be intentionally mean because why? And she doesn't understand it, and you can't teach that cruelty to somebody that doesn't think like that. You
Mhm.
can't, and so
That's why I'm glad there's light and dark in our society,
yes,
because some people have that light and they bring that light to everything around them, and other people try to bring destruction and chaos.
it's true.
So, kind of like
Chaos
this,
magic, right? Yeah.
right? And so think of it this way, like the biblical angels and whatever that we described a while ago. So think of it on the flip side, and these are the DMT entities. So people describe seeing geometric light beings, so shapes, right? Squares and triangles and all the things. And again, they have the overwhelming presence. There's a message or a cryptic teaching along with it, and telepathic communication. So, this is the occult thing that I wanted to mention earlier, because you and I have both done a show with this person. And there's a lot of practicing of crossing the abyss, and can describe to you in very vivid detail. Number 1, involving the color purple, and number 2, everything in their crossing over between life and death was geometric, and nothing was, like, uniform or whatever where we would see things or process things on a daily basis. It was all these very strange shapes and patterns and whatever, but the colors and stuff, And since our body releases DMT during near-death experiences or right before we die,
Wild.
go there.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, look, I'm not saying anything if you want to go do that. Like, if people that have done that, like who we're talking about, I don't know if he still wants that mentioned, but,
Mhm.
um, I think that it's scary for me. Like, if
Right.
you want to
Same.
choose to do whatever you want, but remember one thing, it says in the Bible, and it says it for a reason. It's a really good warning for people that demons that never belonged here. And so I'm talking, yes, fallen angels came here and mated with women, and those
Mhm.
things that they created, not the fallen angel, the things that they created were born illegally without the proper spirit, I believe.
Mhm.
Um, and when they died that first time, right, they can't go anywhere because
Right,
they
'cause
are created illegally. Yeah,
right.
like it wasn't a God thing. And so now it says they roam looking for a place to rest.
Mhm.
And the scary part for that is that when you cross into somewhere, you are a bright light because you have a spirit from God.
Right.
Okay. Whether even if you were a demon worshiper, like even if you hated
You
everything and
still have that
you
spark
have a
because
spark.
God created you, right?
Yes. So I feel like they're bringing so many things back, and it doesn't it may help you temporarily, but like every single time I read Crowley or I read John Dee or I read Let's Go Out of the Occult because people say that's a cult. Read about Joseph Smith, read about other
Mm.
prophets. They always talk about like these things, and I'm not talking prophets in the Bible. I'm talking about false prophets. Let me
Right. Right.
emphasize that.
100%. Big
Um,
difference.
Big difference is they will have these horrible things like come afterward, and like it's just they'll get addicted to substances or whatever because they're not trying to be in this presence or they're possibly overtaken, and that's scary.
Right.
So they can be overtaken if they don't have the light of God. I don't believe a true Christian can be overtaken, but I believe they could be tortured
Mhm. Oh, 100%. And
with
so,
depression and
well
all kinds of things.
well,
So
look at Job, right?
yeah.
It's a perfect example because Job had, faith stronger than anyone else and whatever, but he had all of these things that were oppressing him and causing chaos and destroying his life and everything around him, right? And so
The suffering was real. I
yeah,
mean, he lost all his kids in one day. Like, that you don't get that back. Like, people talk about that and say, "Well, he was restored." I'm like, "No. You don't have the same baby again." Like,
right,
those people that he lost, that's a real genuine loss. Like, that's
right.
forever. Um, and so I get why he was tormented, and I mean, and it was allowed. We read about why, right?
Mhm.
Things are allowed to occur.
Right,
But we do have God to turn to, and faith is, like, the main thing. Like,
right.
it
100%.
is it is, and protect yourself, like, put on that armor of God. Like, do those things and see if your life isn't different. Like, that is why no matter how much I learn, no matter and people will say to me, "You know all this stuff, how how do you still believe in the Bible? Because it's just this, or it's an allegory, or it's a
Right.
code for the Da
You're
Vinci
written
Code."
by
I'm like,
man,
"Yeah."
it's made up, it's blah, blah,
Yeah.
blah.
Or that was, used for this reason, I'm like, "Okay, but I know what it is for me." Like,
Mhm.
I have been close to death multiple times, and
Right,
there's nothing that can take my faith. There's just no way.
right, 100%, and so think of this, like, for people who are choosing to go on these unnatural trips with DMT. If you just found out today that your body manufactures it anyway on a regular basis, why in the ever loving hell would you need to go outside of that for a synthetic experience? Something that was not, God created that that is outside of you, why would you need to go outside of that for an extra experience? Because like Heidi said, you're a light, you're going to attract things. So think of yourself as a magnet. So you're going to pull all of that magnetic energy right back to you. And so you're crossing over into places that you should not be.
And you
Because,
may not be where you think you are either,
yeah,
because
100%.
the things that are the abyss or whatever that is closest to us is the
Mm-hmm.
lowest realm. Like you have no idea where you're going. And I can tell you this, the benevolent things are not low. They're not.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They're
100%. So
up
for
there.
me, like every time everybody's ever said, "Oh, you should try it once," my answer has always been the same. I don't need to try it because I already know who I am.
And I mean,
Just do.
if you want to do it, that's fine. But just be
Yeah.
aware, you may not be the same afterward. Like,
Right.
and
100%.
even with ketamine, even with these things that they're doing for people to treat them, and I'm not talking like externally or anything. I'm talking about like
Right.
IV. I'm talking about serious doses. Okay.
Right.
Because I do think there's some things topically that I mean, we do absorb it, but it's a different thing. You're not going to
Right.
get high if you rub like certain things on your body. Like as it's
Right.
different. And everybody's different anyway, but I do think at the level they give you when it goes directly into the bloodstream in an IV, whatever, unless you have severe trauma and you know what you're getting into and you're prepared for that, you better be prepared to live with the consequences of getting those memories back because with the good comes the bad.
Mm-hmm.
And God has put that mechanism there for you, like for me, especially because I have traumatic amnesia from like trauma, like
Right. From
abuse.
some stuff. Right.
Yeah. And I share that and I'm fine with that. But I also don't need to delve further into that to know that happened. Like I know, like how much
Mm-hmm.
further do I need to know? Like I'm good. Like I know it's there.
Right.
We learn, we grow, if I was still having more issues from it and hadn't developed, through God, that was the thing that changed me is honestly my dog and God. Like my daughter said to me the other day, she said, "Mom, the changes in you came so much after huge trauma." So I'm assuming, some of this stuff
Mm-hmm.
going on naturally in my body. And then, I got a dog and then I delved into the Bible and it was all at the same time.
Right.
And she was like, it
100%.
it was so crazy watching you change. And then she said, and then when you had your first grandchild, it just was, she's like, it's been actually cool to see you change again.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, I mean, you were always, she's like, I love you. You're still my, I mean, she's like, yeah, I love you. You're my mom. But like the things that changed in you were radical. It was
Right.
like crazy.
100%. And it should be that way. Right. And it should
Yeah.
be when you have an actual true awakening and
True
not a
experience.
psychosis type.
Yes.
You
Unless
should
you
see that.
accidentally had a psychosis. I
Right.
mean, that does happen. Yeah, that could have happened,
Uh,
I
so
hate to say God doesn't sometimes make people crazy because sometimes I think he does. Like he uses
right.
whatever. I mean, the one I can't remember what Nicodemus that had to go live like a goat for a while.
Mhm. But it's
So he
true though.
does do that.
It's true though because every trial and turmoil is meant to strengthen your character and strengthen your faith and resolve, right? And sometimes, like, why are people born with deformities, or why are people injured in accidents or whatever when he could
Or
prevent it from
depression. Yeah,
happening?
yeah.
Here's the thing. You will never experience any kind of growth in your life unless you have some kind of chaos or turmoil that you have to come out of. So maybe you're a uber vain person and you're all about your looks all the time and you get in a horrific accident and your face is burned or something. And what is the lesson to be learned in that? right? You have to learn to adapt and overcome and not be concerned with worldly things and, judgment from other people. You should be reflecting inward. What kind of people are you on the inside?
And God has catered that for your life. Like,
Right,
not that he makes the challenge, but he knows, everything
right,
is a court in this world. It's
right,
either
100%.
allowed or not allowed. Like, that is the whole point of Job. Like, if
Right,
you listen to Job, people are like, why did Job get tortured and God was okay with it? Some things he is okay with, but he also knows like our breaking point, and that's why things are weighed and judged.
right,
Um, and he
100%.
says, don't try and think like him. Like, I don't know, but that is your catering. And I think he knows what's on that other side, right? Like, he
Right,
knows what
absolutely.
we could become. And
Right.
so he hopes we'll endure to the end, which is
Mhm.
like what we're supposed to do, but not just lay there. Like, come on. Like, that's not
Like,
it.
how do you use the chaos or trauma or turmoil that you went through to not only make a change inside of yourself, but inside of other people?
Right. That's why I called my show. That's why people always ask me, your show's name is a little weird. And I'm like, right. Because that's your warning. Unfiltered
Mhm.
is the warning. If you watch me, sorry, not sorry. Like, you know
Enter
what
at
you're
your
getting
own risk.
into. Yeah. I might cuss. I might say some crazy offhand thing. I might say a wrong word and wrong think. And I don't know, whatever.
Mhm.
I'm not going to do catering to that. So
Right.
that's what that is. And
Yep.
rise, because I'm like, look, I have been a victim half my life, if you want to define it, but I
Mhm.
choose not.
Right.
That I should be on a corner somewhere selling myself with the life I had. Okay. Like, I'm
Mhm.
not ever, and nor will I ever, nor have I ever been that, because I saw the chaos around me and said, this is not my life. I
Right.
will not be this.
And I'm gonna be better and whatever, and that's what we should all be striving to do
But not
is
just for myself, for others too. Right.
right.
Because if you stop
100%.
there, then you're an asshole.
Right. 100%. 100% on that. So,
Um,
with the holidays and all of that stuff and the emotional triggers and whatever, so a lot of times people will experience where they, sense a loved one, hear a loved one, smell a loved one, or, um, you know, something like that, and I wanna say that a lot of people put a lot of stock in the fact if they lost somebody and they see a cardinal around the holidays, a cardinal always reminds them of their loved one, like it's their loved one coming to visit. And so, p- do people also believe that the lost loved one reincarnates or whatever, or comes back as an angel to talk to them?
Hopefully not, because hopefully you read your scriptures and
Mm,
absence of the body is presence with the Lord. And I
mhm.
I remind this to my mom because she has a hard time, because we've lost so many people and it is hard.
Right.
It is. But I also tell her that doesn't mean he doesn't see you. It just means, that we know that he is somewhere better and that we have to let go. That is part of overcoming. That is why death happens in stages, right?
Right.
Like, and we don't all die at the same time. Like,
Right.
um, we have to learn that everything you're given is a gift and can and will be taken away
At any
when
time.
God says.
Mhm.
So don't ever live your life like in regret, but also try not to look back too much on that past, like, and live in that past, because you see people do that,
Right. Very
and it
much so.
overtakes their life. Doesn't
At
mean you
right,
don't remember.
100%.
Yeah, but and just remember, the familiar spirits in the Bible know everything. They know your heart's desire. They
Mhm.
know what you want. They know so much about you, and they know how to get what they want too. And
I
so,
was gonna say a little bit of manipulation from the other side, because what did they do? Cause death, chaos, or destruction,
mhm.
and so do they, quote, unquote, "reincarnate" or show themselves as a lost loved one or whatever. Oh, yes, baby, they do. So be very careful of what you're looking at.
Right. And they're lower level. This isn't even the good stuff. Just remember, like the occultists will tell you if you want to go read them, they'll
Mhm.
talk to you all about what it is. And even they say, don't fuck with it. And we still
Mhm.
do.
Right.
Bananas.
And, because we're hard-headed and we don't listen. So,
Bananas. Yeah.
mm. So on to the Star of Bethlehem, celestial, symbolic, or psychedelic. So we know from a traditional sense and the biblical sense in Matthew 2, 1 through 12, it was the story of the Magi that were guided from the east to where Jesus was born. It was a celestial sign announcing the birth of the king. So, in traditional explanations, it's because Jupiter and Saturn, planetary conjunction, or Jupiter and Venus, from a comet or a supernova, or rare astronomical events that are visible for months, could have created the Star of Bethlehem. The mystical take on the things is it's a light in the sky, an awakening with humanity. A star is the symbol of guidance, intuition, and internal revelation. The biological theory is that ancient people were more connected to nature's frequencies, which, yes, they were, because now we're concerned with cell phones and iPads and iPods and, all the electronics and stuff, and we don't pay attention to nature. We don't pay attention to our surroundings or anything. So I definitely believe that. Also, it says strong celestial alignment with the electromagnetic field shifts, or humans feel those shifts physically and spiritually. So, biblically speaking, people are now talking and think that the Magi were actually astrologers from either Babylon or Persia. And to them, Jupiter meant king, Regulus meant royal star, and Virgo was the virgin. And so that's where they come to the conclusion that they must have all been astronomers. But whichever way you look at it, whether it's biblical, traditional, mystical, or biological, they all kind of have the same thing in common, is that it's Star of Bethlehem as a guiding force. So some cultures see the Star of Bethlehem as either awakening your Christ consciousness, divine light, or incarnates into human form. And so some people believe that the Star of Bethlehem is actually an angel watching over us and could, like, take human form when need be. I don't know about that. I'm just saying some cultures believe that. So it is what it is. So examples of like the solar flares or the comets or whatever. If you ever heard people, like we talked about before, acting crazy on a full moon,
Oh, fuck.
or during the Schumann resonance, it's because, again, those frequencies shift. And so they'll tell you a lot of times too, when those energy shifts happen, that you'll notice your animals like
And
act
everything
up.
goes into labor.
Uh-huh. Everything
All the
goes
things.
crazy, and it's kind of like, and this may be like TMI for people, but if you work with a bunch of women,
Mhm.
your cycles
A
will
bad
actually
day.
regulate, and everybody will be on their cycles at the same time.
Or if
Um,
they all live together.
yeah,
Oh,
and so I bring that up because if you're thinking about like everything going into labor at the same time, or everybody's frequency shifting. It is believed to be like a reset for us, and so it's not supposed to be something that we're supposed to be scared of. When the energy shifts, it's God working to shift us all back to the state of consciousness that we're supposed to be having. But it
It's your
does.
hard reset. It's your
Yeah.
hard reset
It's
button, guys.
it's the reset button, but it makes some people fry instead of reset. You know what I mean?
Right.
You
No
fried their
kidding.
hard drive.
Oh my gosh. Oopsie. Sorry. Yeah, no. Ugh.
I smell something burning. Oh, it's just my
Oh,
neighbor.
it's just, it's just my ears and my hair and my brain.
So think of it this way. Does the Star of Bethlehem um actually, or could it have actually caused a global pineal gland awakening? So does that happen around the same time like every year? Because again, he's trying to reset things. Do you think that's possible?
Yeah, I think that that's why everything's off with the Gregorian calendar, because it's supposed to be how it's supposed to be, like
Mhm,
the way he designed it, not the way we designed it, and they did that shit on purpose. So,
mhm, 100%.
mhm.
So, if you think about like angels as interdimensional messengers, and like I said, our mRNA is that messenger sequence between us and God. So now you get the angels coming in. But if you compare all the religious text with the modern phenomena, and people describing them as, light beings or messenger carriers, they're like celestial, heavenly, so they don't have physical bodies. They appear suddenly out of nowhere. Some people describe them as shapeshifters. To me, that's little different. That makes me think of something completely different when you say shapeshifter. Kinda like
Yeah, that
a
makes me interdimensional being.
yeah, 100%. Like, it doesn't make me think of heavenly bodies, you know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And of course that, like, ESP where they're communicating with you through thought, I don't know about you, but, that makes me a little
Mm.
So, there is a theory called the Philosopher's Stone, and what that is times when the spirit, and the matter around us unite, and they think that that is what causes people to see the Star of Bethlehem or to see angels appear or just whatever, or they feel off, I guess, during the holiday time. So I'm not sure what I think about that. But if you're uniting with matter around you, again, I would be very careful what you're putting out into the universe because you're going to attract that right back.
Mhm.
So if
Mhm.
you're putting out demonic messages, you're probably going to get that back threefold.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Gotta be
saying?
careful. Gotta be careful with stuff.
So anyway, to me, this stuff is uber interesting, and where these things really come from. And so me, I think, because I love the brain and I love to think about like our subconscious and the way it protects us, and all of those things. So, do you think that our subconscious could be like an override for our emotions, or whatever, to get us to understand things that we don't understand, but in a more simplified way? Kind of like I talked about with like you know,
The
seeing
downloads.
seeing like Bigfoot or whatever, and the way that we actually would see it would scare the hell out of us, so we interpret it a different way. So do you think it's possible for the same thing to happen with angelic stuff, or people thinking they're seeing like the Star of Bethlehem? Do you
I have a hard time with the angel thing because I think that they're so militant. If you get sent a real angel, and I don't think God would want to confuse it by making it like less scary, like God sent,
right?
because the ones that were sent by God did scare the shit out of people because they were like, "Hey, don't freak out, but I've
Mhm.
got this message," right? Like
Right.
they didn't obfuscate themselves. They could have just showed up as something different. I mean, I think there was one instance where they did, and then people still lusted after them anyway. Yeah, it was the one with Sodom in Sodom.
Mhm. Mhm.
But it didn't work, right? It everybody like it was like this weird thing, and everybody was weirdly attracted still, and all this strange stuff. So
Well,
um
being in
it didn't.
Sodom, that's
Yeah,
understandable. They're like, "Oh,
right.
that's" it's kinda like that Geico
Right. That's
commercial with
new.
the
Look, it's something new.
it's like that Geico commercial with the raccoons that are, like, eating out of the trash, and they're like, "Oh, this is gross, you should taste it," you
Yeah.
know? And
Yeah,
it's kinda like
exactly.
in Sodom, like, the
Exactly.
grosser and more weird
The
it
worst of
was,
the worst.
they're
Yeah.
like, "Oh, this is kinda sexually turning me on."
Yeah. And we still have those people today, unfortunately.
Uh-huh.
But
Yeah.
I don't think that the real ones can really hide it or anything. Like, it didn't work. Like, even though they were human and like, it didn't work. And so
Mhm.
I think that there would be a hard like, you wouldn't be able to do that, I don't think. And with God, I think he's, like I said, very specific with things. It wouldn't be like, so, like, I'm gonna come back 72 times and maybe you'll catch it by the end of this, and then you'll have your friend sleep with your wife. Like, I just can't see the whole veer to the left. Like, whoa, what happened there? Like, I mean, I think deep down they probably had an inkling. Whereas the angels come and it's always they get the business done right away. They're never here for a long time, right? They're
Mhm.
not like, oh, I'm gonna chill here for a couple thousand years. And,
Mhm.
even the ones that, come, they just it's a quick thing. Like, here's your shit. Leave me alone.
So
I mean,
do you think it's possible, and I don't wanna, like, diminish this time of year for certain people that,
right.
you know, holidays are hard or whatever, but do you think that it's possible that when they see or think they're hearing, like, a passed on loved one talking to them, or they're seeing, you know, the Star of Bethlehem, or they're seeing all of these things, right, around the holiday time or whatever. Do you think that there is some kind of, like, possible weakness or whatever in their defenses
I think
that's
something happens.
allowing some
Yeah.
kind of manipulation to go
I
on?
think something happens during this time of year because even if we look at Saturnalia, even if we look at and they did Christmas at this time of year on purpose, and it's not the right time because we know that Mary and Joseph were going to pay their taxes.
Mhm,
That's why they were riding with her very gravely pregnant
mhm,
um at the wrong, like, it's all the wrong timing, and they
right,
did this on purpose because intention matters,
right,
and
100%.
they use it whether you're a Gnostic Christian or not at all Christian. Most people do celebrate Christmas in somehow or another. Even
Mhm,
Hanukkah is similarly aligned, even
mhm,
though they don't believe in that. It's all the same time frame as Saturnalia, which used to be really
mhm,
sketchy.
right,
I think I'm gonna put this out as my Christmas episode because I think this will be a g a good little breakdown for people, and it's still uplifting because we always tie it up good.
mhm,
But I think that, there is something to that full coordination of minds whether it's just on past loved ones or Jesus or miracles or whatever that is for people during this time frame and this alignment, which I'm guessing it's astrology because,
Mhm.
you know,
Right,
trillionaires
100%.
study the stars, right? Yeah.
Right,
I
uh-huh.
mean, they know. They know all this. This is why they send their kids to mystery schools, that you're never going to understand half of this shit, neither will I. Like, I try, and I could try till the day I die, and we will still never know. There will always be mysteries, right? Even for them.
Right,
But ultimately, they know certain things are going to affect people at certain times of the year. I do think this is monopolized for a reason, and I think it's really an important time frame for us to switch it around and try to make it good, which I do think that might have been the thought process. Like, if I could put myself
right,
in an old-timey prophet brain,
right.
like, what are you gonna do with this? Like, this crazy,
Mhm.
horrible Saturnalia is a whole nother level of some wicked shit.
Right,
So I think they were like, we've got to get this debauchery under control. But the other people were like, we're still going to do our shit. So whatever. Like, everybody went along to get along because they were like, yeah, we're just going to go underground. And they're like, yeah,
they're
do that. But
Canadians.
yeah,
They were
pretend
Can
for
they were
us.
Canadians, right?
Yeah,
Where they would never say anything bad about anything. Just
right.
do it.
And that's to this day. Like, if you go talk to, somebody that's completely into the occult, they're not going to say shit bad about Christianity. In fact, you'll probably find them in pastor positions or top level positions because they want them there.
Mhm.
If you ever want to know the Bible really well, just go talk to like a satanic devil worshiper person, and I don't mean like Anton LaVey. I mean
Mm,
for real. They know it better than you.
mhm.
They count on that. They count on knowing it better than you because that's the weakness. They
Well,
can't keep it all because it's against, remember, that whole legal business. Like, I do think they've obfuscated the Bible. I think they've
right,
put parts of it away. I think they've changed word. I know they've changed words. They changed the
right,
divine name of God to Lord, which is not good per se.
mhm,
But he knows our hearts, right? Like,
right,
he still knows. And so it doesn't always work because that legal scale, once again, as much evil as in the world, the devil knows to play fair and to really keep those souls. You have to put the good out there so you can actually have the person turn around and give you the finger to God, and like then he gets them forever, right? That's the win. The win isn't like, I'm just going to trick them forever. That's not a win. That's not.
So, do you think with this whole, like, winter season, and some people think it's the reset, frequency reset, bringing us closer to God or whatever, but because there's so much, like, sadness and destruction and, depression and all these things that go on during the winter months, do you think it's really a reset, or do you think it is a shift from what was good the rest of the year into, like, a bad season,
Well,
like an
and
evil
it's
season?
not even really the end of the year if you really know, like April
Right,
1st is the new year,
right, 100%.
Um, but that is these quarter quells, right? These
Right,
magical things that people know that are in the know, and it is the last quarter, okay,
mhm,
of the year. And I think they're setting it up for a great big high, right? Like, that's what Christmas is for me. Christmas time for me is so much better than Christmas. I don't
mhm,
really Christmas is great, but like, I can take it or leave it. I love to do things for others. I like
right,
to coordinate the dinner or coordinate the pictures or coordinate, the happy things, like all these nice things. The season is what I love. And then they know that this is like going to, for most of us, now not all, because some people live in Arizona where it's not terribly bad part,
mhm, right,
whatever. But they know that for a lot of people, this is going to go into some like really bitterly cold, crappy months where you can't do anything. Okay.
Right.
And I think that they put you on that high for you to like crash and burn. And we start it with New Year's by like getting uber drunk and being like screwing our bodies over, and then you're just sick and everything gets all messed up in your head and you feel like shit for like 3 days, and like nobody feels that great after like that amount of party. Okay. That's just not the real. Like, even if you're young and you can do it again tomorrow, like I
Right.
promise you,
On
like
3
there's
hours of
chemicals.
sleep.
Yeah. There's shit going on in your brain that you just don't realize yet. But and we all move through the motions, and then there's nothing for like clear until, I mean, yeah, Valentine's, but how depressing is that for everybody that doesn't have a person, you know, like they died or they're single or whatever, then that's sad for a lot of people. The couples kind of get a little strengthening. Like I said, they gotta let us have some wins. They always gotta, do that tiny little okay, and so they do what they can. And then there's nothing really else. Think about it. Clear it until when? Easter. I mean, not that I
So
can think of. And so I think they do this on purpose. And that's my thoughts, but then it's the new awakening because it's spring, right? It's all with the more pagan, like people just need to look at some of those things, but
right.
and not everything is bad. Look, not all knowledge is bad. Like the pagans knew some shit and then they still do. Like they do. But like if we look at what is important to them, you'll see that come along, right? And it's the continuous, so the golden bough comes to mind. It's the continuous killing of the king, right?
Right.
It's the birth and it's the re-killing, and then you've got the death and the sadness and then the rebirth. And it's like that of the world for me. Like I see that. But people that don't know any of that shit, like what do they see? I know because I was one. Before 2020, that was me. And yeah, you get like weirdly sad after the holidays because there isn't really a lot to look forward to, for all these months. Whereas if you really learn to harness what you have and use that time, like, yeah, I'm going to be stuck inside, but what a great time to cozy up and read a book. Like,
Right. I
read a
think
lot of
too,
books.
to that point, like it's a good thing to really focus your energy and attention during that particular season. Because like we talked about, like everything is heightened for a lot of people, and their depression's out of control and they feel awful and whatever because your body's all out of regulation. So since your eyes, your retina and your eye tissue has a huge amount to do with processing and manufacturing DMT, and DMT works to regulate your hormones and all of those things. Think about how many people, like during the winter season, never go outside, never look at the sunlight, and then what happens to your body? You are depressed, you are sick, you're achy, your joints are like everything goes in the shitter. And it's because you're not making enough DMT.
Well, and you're not channeling, and when I say channeling, not like new agey channeling.
Right.
You're not putting your efforts into things that can be done.
Right.
This is your time to
In a
deep clean
positive
that
manner.
closet.
Right.
Yeah, like, or bake a cake for your neighbor or go visiting. Like these are the things they used to do.
Right.
They're mundane, but they still need to be done.
Right.
And so that is really your time to take that. And I've always enjoyed winter because summer is too hot for me. Winter is a nice time for me, but I always loved reading. So it was never like a horrible thing for me to be stuck in the house, in the house. So,
But then again, if you don't have that open pineal gland, right, then you're not critically thinking and you're not being creative, and you're just literally dwelling in your
mhm,
sadness, your
mhm.
emotions, and people get very complacent and lazy in the winter.
Yes. And then walking, like, I know not everybody has a dog, but like walking your dog, like that still happens every day for us. Like all these little things, like going outside, oh, you got to walk them, whatever.
Mhm.
It does. It improves your mood. Like if you don't have a
Mhm.
dog, older people like used to, my grandpa, whether it was cold or not, he would go out there and walk every morning, like
Same.
clockwork. Yeah.
Yep, same. And
Yeah.
I
It's
and
just
I have
different
to.
now.
And it's
Yeah.
like I need that, I always say that's like my battery pack, right? Or my booster pack is
Mm,
being able to go outside because that's my time to recharge.
yeah.
And so I gotta have that connection. And I guess now I know it's because it makes me make DMT. So
Yes. Naturally, though. We're
then I
not
can
like
be
that.
on my own personal trip, but something I made and I didn't have to go have it grown in fungus or anything.
Ugh. Yeah, who even knows anymore what they're doing with that? Ugh, this could be scary. I
So,
mean,
one of the interesting things that people talk about during the winter months, and that's why I kind of asked you before if you think the winter months are a positive thing as far as frequency and energy goes, or if you think it's a reset to a negative type of frequency because during that, during the winter months, that's when a lot of people are like really focused on angel numbers and they keep seeing like 7 everywhere and they look at the clock and it's got a 7 and there's 7 people in the line at the store, whatever. It's like repeating. And so they're having all these little synchronicities going on and they have like these like thoughts of or intuitive like little things about stuff, or they're having like uh, vivid prophetic dreams, or lots of instances of deja vu and whatever things that normally wouldn't happen on a regular basis, but people report like during the winter months that like really heightens for them. So do you think it's possible that that's a reset for an energy shift, but not in a good way?
I think it is the end of it, right? Like, I think the weird negative energy shift starts in like October-ish.
Mhm.
Well, probably on the equinox, so we'll go September, right? End of
Mhm.
September. And then it goes until, this is so I think this is like the height, like I said, and especially if you do have like family that you do love and you're not going crazy with them and they go home and everything's kind of let down, you know? You're like, "Oh man, I miss my mom." And even if she drove you crazy, you're probably still like, "Damn, I kind of miss her now. She
Mhm.
drove me crazy, but I liked it," or whatever. It's
Do you live in Sodom?
right. It's like
She
the
makes
love
me
and hate.
crazy, but I like
I
it.
know. I'm like, "Oh, man." And you do still think about them because even if somebody gets on your last nerve, you're like, "Damn, I miss that." Like, if you love them, if you truly have a love for a person, you can do that. You can love
Mhm.
and not like them very much, at the same time. But, all of that stuff is wrapping. So I do think this season is definitely a darker time, not
Mhm.
only physically, right, but metaphorically speaking. And I do think it's probably why we do naturally make more melatonin during these months,
Mhm.
um, which makes sense, and it's
'Cause
probably
we're
our
meant to
time.
hibernate?
I think it's like that, we're supposed to rest. We're supposed to, like, do these things that you wouldn't normally stop to do. Like, you're not gonna normally stop and feel okay about reading a book if there's 10,000 things that need to be done on a
Mhm.
spring day. It gives you more that energetic feeling of, "Get up now and go do the shit." Like,
Mhm.
and I think it's those planting things in our literal souls, like, oh, you've got to do this so you can eat. And when this harvest comes in, like
Mhm.
I do think God programmed us, for obviously a much different living than what we
Mhm.
have. But nevertheless, we have to do something with it. Um, and it is a wonderful time. Like whenever I'm like, oh man, everybody's going to be gone, like create. Janet's been around me enough to know I'll just spit stuff out, and so she writes it down, and it's a good thing because I don't remember.
Because her mouth goes like a flapper on a goose's ass, and
That's
then she doesn't
right.
remember 5 minutes later.
That's absolutely right. And so, I mean, and the good part about that is I might give you some really great ideas I probably
Right.
won't remember. But
100%. 100%.
yeah, yeah. But I do think all of us can do that. I think like, oh, this is your time to really get ready to recharge yourself into that new year, which is why I think weirdly we make, resolutions. Where the hell did that come from? All this weird
Mhm.
stuff that we do means something. Any tradition that
Right.
you are talked into, it comes from something nefarious or good one way or the other, and usually it's bad, and they're trying to counteract it with the good. Um, Unfortunately, sadly, it's mostly Babylonian shit.
I was gonna say make
Mm,
your own traditions and don't
oh,
follow that
yeah.
kinda stuff.
And even if you do, like, I love tradition because I always tell my kids, I didn't have that. Like, my family wasn't big into certain things. So I made that for my family because I was like, okay, I'm going to change this. And my kids would just freak out if I didn't do certain things because they're like, oh my gosh, mom, we always do this, and they like it. And I like that they can count on me for that. But also, there are times for you where you need to push through the hard. And people now, unfortunately and sadly, get to a point where they would rather not be here, or they would just like to end it all or not do the things or whatever that is. And I get that feeling, but I think our ancestors had more of that, like with, these mind altering things, like where it gives you that to push through. Like you're not really supposed to um come back if this happened to you. So
Right. 100%.
it's supposed to give you the to get through the scary thing, probably to go to God. Okay. Like there's a
Mhm.
process here, but with people going in and out, I mean, I don't think we're supposed to be doing poke the monkey with God, but whatever.
Yeah,
Uh,
no. I think I
your
will
choice.
not take my chances with that, but that's beside
Yeah.
the point.
Yeah, exactly. Cause there's obviously something in between the good and here that
Mhm.
we gotta get through. So, like, all of that matters, and I definitely see that, but, like, you can also create good things within yourself without drugs. Like, I know it's amazing. Um, without
Right.
mind-altering
Without
crap.
genetically
I know.
modified,
I'm
grown in
super a
fungus.
bummer. Yeah, I'm not against having a glass of wine or like beer or something, but when you know that you're a slave to something, and I really don't care what that is, sugar, it could be
Right.
anything. It
Doesn't
does not
matter. Yep.
matter. Food is a really big one.
Oh, yeah,
Although I
100%.
don't think Americans are quite as gorgy as they say. I just think they're feeding us the worst things, period, to make us
Mhm.
sicker than the rest because there's something about us, which is, probably a good thing. But figure out that something about you, but also don't just keep it to yourself. Look, that's the same thing with podcasting that I hate is people will say, don't talk to this person or don't talk to that person or this or that. And then everybody harnesses one thing and then you just see it regurgitated on 27 podcasts, right?
Right.
Like, ugh,
100%. That's why, like, I really respect what we do because I have never heard what we do on any other show before. And it's
no.
like different ways or angles of looking at things or talking about things that no one else talks about.
Right. And even if you are the Mormon girl, because that's what I'm labeled, and maybe you would think, okay, well, she's done the rounds on all the shows. No, I have like 30 other things that I have big stacks of research on because
Right.
I like
100%.
to learn. Yeah, like I don't
Hear
want
that?
to be
You
boring.
you are the moist sponge.
Yes. Yes, I am. But you can be too. You can be inappropriate just like me and Janet. And,
That is
it
right. For a low,
it
low
yeah.
price.
For like, the things that we waste in life, I guess maybe because I've just been through it so
Right.
badly. I think that I've just had so many bad things happen to me that I really, and I'm gonna push stop the share. I really think that
Whee!
let's see, we're going in the tunnel. Don't
Tunnel.
look at the purple. Don't do it, you guys.
Look
I don't
away,
know.
look away.
I always have the hardest time. Okay, there it is. I really think that for everything we have, we are not supposed to hoard. We are supposed to share with one
Share it.
another
Mhm.
or there's a reason why I'm made like this. Like, yeah, she talks too much, but maybe that's because she's supposed to talk to people. Or maybe
Right,
that's because
100%.
you're not a talker and you're not, you're supposed to do this other thing over here. We all have a gift.
Mhm.
Um, and maybe you hate all human beings and your gift is just to be with animals. And I understand that too. But
Do I fall in that category?
yeah, yeah, I get it. But at the end of the day, we've got this amazing thing where Janet and I are talking clear across the country. I mean,
Mhm.
that's pretty awesome. And we're best friends from so far. But I know
Right,
if I met her, we would
100%.
be like, it would just be peas and carrots because
Mhm.
we've been lucky enough to have this. So why would God allow this? Because I don't think any of this is benevolent. I don't
Right.
think this
Mhm.
magic that we're doing is actually benevolent, but it can be used for benevolence. But how
Right,
often does that happen?
100%. Yep.
Yeah.
And that's why, like you said before, being that true, authentic, genuine person, I think protects you a lot of times from that malevolent stuff because God doesn't want you to hide any part of who you are. And so when you are true and authentic and genuine and whatever, he knows that. And that's when you start attracting more of that to you instead of
Right. Right.
putting out the falsities and the lies of the mask wearing and all of that stuff.
Yeah, there's a reason why people wear masks. They're usually in the club that they
Mhm.
have to do that. It dulls who you are. Like each one
Right.
of us has this. Like I'm not anything different than any of you. All of us have our own thing
Mhm.
though. And
100%.
yeah, we're like these colors of a rainbow together. And I just feel like it's sad because even on my comments on my podcast, like the week before last, somebody said, "Stop being like Pollyanna and choose a side." And I said, "What fucking side are you talking about, bro?" Like, that is the
So
dumbest thing I've ever
and
heard.
was that comment choose a side because secretly they wanted you to choose their side?
Well,
I'm
and I
gonna
think,
side with the
yeah,
side that's right and just, and I'm not going to go along to get along.
no.
I'm not a yes person, you know what I mean?
Yep, I've always had problems with that. And that's why, people want to fit in the club, fit in the this or that, fit in that cookie cutter. And if you want to chop pieces off of yourself to fit in that hole, then that's your prerogative too. But like, don't
Mhm,
punish those of us that don't want to do that because we want to do our own thing, and
mhm.
that happens. So for people that are out there that feel alone, because that is the loneliest thing to feel like you just don't fit. You're the one, and there's always one in a family. I really believe that, and you're
Right.
the black sheep or whatever,
Right,
but it's not that. It's like you're a self-thinker. You're made differently for a reason, and I
right,
think that
100%.
is good. I don't think that's bad. I think, we're meant to do that and we're meant to, teach our families. Like I kind of feel like God does this because he's like, now look, you love this person and they're different than you. So learn. But like
Right.
nobody does. And it's just an ongoing thing. But we all like my mom and me, we would never be friends if we weren't mother and daughter
Mhm.
because we are very different human beings.
Right,
So
100%.
different. And that's why God puts us together as a family because then you can learn all about like she loves animals and she loves being outside. She's more like you are,
Mhm.
I love to be outside, but like I'm always doing 10,000 things and I'm missing like the sunset.
Everything around you.
Yeah,
Yep,
I'm missing it
100%.
because I'm busy and I'm focused in, like I'm a very hyper focused person. And so
Mhm.
details matter to me. All these things that my husband could give a shit. Like he's like, I don't care about that. Look at the sunset. If it wasn't for my husband, I would never see a beautiful sunset. Because he's like, hey, pay attention, get off your stupid podcast or whatever. And he's I'm grateful. Like looking at all of that, like the people that surround you in your life that are put there by God. There is a
Right,
reason.
100%. It's for that balance that we
Yes.
need, right?
Yep.
And
And you
kinda
can't
like
just cut people out. Like that's so shitty. I'm sorry. I don't give a cat. I don't care. I don't care if your crazy Aunt Tessie makes you like the worst human ever. Like you take a breath and learn. It doesn't mean you have to like it. You can
Mhm,
learn to love the person for who they are, not what they do, because we all have our own shit. So,
right. Everybody has their faults or their
yep. But we know it's
issues
challenging.
Yeah.
We're
Sweet
gonna
baby
pray.
Jesus, she is not kidding. So,
Ah,
the interesting thing though, like you said, like, you're always so focused and busy, that's because the way that your chemical makeup is and your DNA is because you're an organizer, you're a planner,
mhm.
you're a
Yep.
you have to be very scheduled and very analytical and methodical in the way that you think of things. And then my DNA is very different because I'm very like, I used to be that way, and now I'm, like, evolving and changing with the way that he wants me to be, and I'm, like, calm and docile and stop and smell the roses kind of person now, but that's why every one of us is made so uniquely, and that's also what makes us have those special qualities, right, in our
Yes.
DNA, and where we can read the room and have perception, and my level of perceiving things is gonna be different than your level of perceiving things because you're very analytical about stuff. So
Yes.
I'm gonna
Yes.
go, "Ooh, I feel icky, like, I don't like this feeling," and you're gonna be like, "I don't like it here because of X, Y, and Z." I'm just gonna put
Mhm.
a broad check mark, and you're gonna have the whole calendar planned. But
Yeah.
we need everybody in between because everybody has very different ways of looking at stuff
And we're
and
all
how they
important.
process.
Yeah.
Right.
I hate when people say my husband does this often with his dad is a very early riser, early to bed, early to rise. And he always says,
Mhm,
why am I not a morning person? I hate that I'm not a morning person. I hate that I want to stay up. And I said, what would happen if we were all morning people? Who would take care of the people at night?
mhm.
There's things about
100%.
us, right, that are clued into you being the way you are and even changing like what you said, changing to evolve to that time frame in your life because we go through
Mhm,
seasons in our life. And it's meant to be that way, but don't do it because somebody's forcing you to fit in the hole. If it's God forcing, he'll do it in the best way ever. Like she said,
mhm.
she evolved like this whole I evolved, into different things. Like it will come differently than just
Right.
this forceful, crazy Rockefeller school bullshit. I don't like that, and I always tell my daughter
100%.
that. Yeah.
And it's a good thing you mentioned the Rockefellers because who would have known? Who would have ever known that we make our own DMT? Because that is not in a book. That's not something you're gonna learn in medical school, nursing school. It is not in there. And this
Nope.
information is out there widely available, but why do
Did you
they
even
not
know about your pineal gland until you were like this? Like, they didn't
I
focus on that.
well, I, knew about it because I had to teach about it, but I didn't know in depth about it
Mhm.
until after I
Mhm.
completely got out of nursing.
Or that you make, that you have cannabinoid receptors in your body for
Right,
pot like,
that's
not
not
real
something that's in
real
school,
cannabinoids, not
right,
what but
not bioengineered synthetic GMO
right, and not it's,
grown in fungus.
once receptors are full, they're full.
Right,
Like,
100%.
the you can't just smoke yourself into oblivion either. But obviously it's meant for something, right? It's like
Mhm,
nicotine, same thing with
right,
nicotine. I've
100%.
never ever
Nicotinic
in my life
receptors.
yeah,
Mhm,
I read these studies on this year because I want to tell people this. In 2020, with the crap that happened there, they did some studies on nicotine, and all the people that were smoking thought they were going to die, right? And my mom
It's
smoked, and
actually a neuroprotectant.
yes, I said, "Mom, whatever you do, don't stop smoking, like, please, because
Mhm,
now's not the time, but you should cut down, really."
mhm,
Like, yeah, she needs to still. And I'm like, but it's, too much of a good thing, right? It's that
mhm,
balance. So every once in a while now, and my kids were just like flipped out about this because they've never seen mom do this. I'll pop in a little piece of nicotine gum. It really
mhm,
doesn't have any effect on me because I'm a rapid metabolizer and my
mhm,
kidneys function at 100%. So whatever. I can't say it, I know this. If I chew a 4 milligram, I will want to throw up, but the other
mhm,
one's fine. And it protects you during the winter months. If you've been around people that are sick, they've done
mhm.
studies. This is JAMA studies, you guys.
This
This is
is
medical.
100% true. Mhm,
This is true, and if you notice, and especially if you do it without a lung inhalation, because, obviously then you're taking away the damage, you know? So, if you do that or do the mint or the patch or anything like that, it will help you if you've been around sick people, which is bananas to me. So, when I go out in public, like, and I'm shopping because I have asthma really bad, I'll just do that, and I did that yesterday just to make sure, because I was shopping and out and about and whatever, and they don't want you to know that. My dad,
well, no.
he was so smart and before his time, and I just uh, I feel so bad that he was awake. He was like a George Carlin. He was super cynical. He was an inventor, but he didn't realize what he was up against. And he invented something called nickel light water. And this is
Mhm,
patented. And he did it because he almost went crazy one time on a flight from here to Hawaii. And he said, I just can't go 8 hours. That's such a crazy. They had delays. I don't know. But he said, I'll never go that far again. And he was only marketing it to his friends in the airline business, like
mhm.
not to be sold to anyone but the airlines.
Right.
But it still failed because you're talking about big tobacco. And
Well, and hence they demonize everything that they don't want to get out there, right? And then they
yep,
prop up things that make us sicker. And so who has the most demonization? It's the tobacco industry. And for centuries, they used tobacco in healing ceremonies and in sweat lodges and all kinds of Ayurvedic medicine and stuff. And why is that? It is because we have nicotinic receptors in our body.
And sadly, they have overtaken that. And now
Mhm.
you can't get anything that's not tainted. Even if you grew it yourself, just like the weed, we know that, the ground is completely devastated from what they do. They spray, they've got all these chemicals and everything they've been putting in the air and the ground and everything forever. But I mean, it would still be a far cry better.
Right.
But
100%.
then what are they doing? They're putting formaldehyde in cigarettes. Like, I mean, really? Okay.
Well, because
Oh,
why?
it's so bad.
Let's poison something that would be useful to a person, right? Because they don't want you to get healthy, and the same reason why they don't teach you about your body making and releasing DMT. Why would they possibly want us to know that? And now
So
that I
crazy.
do know that, I'm like, oh, okay, well, everything makes a super huge amount of sense. And the people that have uber visit or uber visual and colorful dreams and stuff like that all the time, now you know why, because you are a super producer of DMT during your REM sleep.
Yes. Yep. And I mean, it's just one of those things that could trick your brain. So be wise, gentle as a dove and wise as a serpent, right? That's what we're supposed to be.
Serpents are pretty smart.
Yes.
So, I found this to be very highly interesting, and for people who don't know, December 21st through the 25th is supposed to be our rebirth or whatever, and that is cross-culturally wise. So if you're struggling in the month of December, you are expected to come out of that after, after Christmas is over, even though that's not really Christmas.
Your new
But
beginning.
it
Yes.
means you're on the upswing of things. And so all the negativity and the bad and the, frequencies and stuff that happened in December, that's going to end shortly. So you can, keep your
You
DNA
can
and your
make it.
connection with God and make your
Don't kill your
DMT.
relatives.
Yeah. And if you're seeing the Star of Bethlehem, I'm just saying maybe you're producing a little too much DMT. Or you really had a divine vision. So there you go.
Just eat some more turkey and go to sleep. Look, it'll be over
Go
soon.
take a nap, George.
Oh boy. Don't worry about it, but don't kill your relatives while they're visiting. So
Yeah, no, probably not a good idea because that could land you in some trouble. And then you might not have access to DMT as you need it.
yeah,
So,
exactly. And remember this. Love them for who they are, not what they are. That'll help you out.
true words. So, my beautiful Miss Heidi, where can they find you at, my love?
I'm so glad, as always, to be here with my wonderful friend Janet. She always brings the heat and we do some great shows together, and I'm thankful for that. So, if you're watching this on her channel and you don't know where I'm at, I am Heidi Love, LUV of the Unfiltered Rise. I'm everywhere podcasts are served. I do have my own podcast website, unfilteredrisepodcast.com. And I'm hoping you are seeing this on my Patreon, although this one will likely be out to everyone, but you will want to go back and see our other shows that might be underneath that little paywall. Keep it very low so that you guys can go ahead and join and get those extra shows. So hopefully you'll be there or on my Spotify. And Miss Janet, for those that don't know where you are, let them know.
Deplorable Nation on every podcast platform. You can watch the videos on Spotify or on Rumble. Hit me up on Instagram, Deplorable Janet, or on X or Twitter at NoJanet, KNOW. So for me and my fabulous, beautiful bestie, Miss Heidi, we love you. Thanks for tuning in. And I hope you learned something today, like I did, that we did not know. So have a good one, and we'll see you next time. Bye.